Scott Mitchell here with It's My Game speaker highlights. Remember, It's My Game Kids Tennis Conference is a global conference like you've never seen before. August 14th to the 23rd. You can register at conference.evolve9.com. And if you have a passion for kids tennis, you want to energize your program and your staff, join us as we build a community of coaches that are going to impact the game. So you've got to join us August 14th to the 23rd. If you do the VIP package, you get a year's worth of material and ongoing material so you can go back and see it from time to time. So again, join us August 14th to the 23rd. Today I'm with Jason, Regional Director for 10 and Under with Sportime Kings Park here in New York. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me. Excited about the conference. I know, this is something new. I'm going to miss being at a location and seeing everybody and, hanging out. But this is exciting that we get to do it this way. And I think there's a lot of positives that'll come out of it, too.
Yeah, and it's going to be completely different than conferences, like you said, that we've normally done. So it's a global conference. You don't have to travel anywhere. You can the presentations, and we'll talk about your presentation in a minute, but they're going to be pre-recorded, so people can watch them over a 2-day period instead of having to tune in at 1 p.m. every day. It's going to be really, really cool. So we're excited to have you, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I think that's going to be great for people's flexibility with their schedule and make it work. And obviously, it's a brave new world out there right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you've had great success coaching kids of all ages and all levels. Now you're, besides the director of tennis, the regional director for Sportime. Tell us a little bit about your role, but also letting people know you have a really, really successful event with the kids' socials that you do with the Sportime World Tour. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it a lot in the presentation, and I think that it's all about creating the right environment for kids competition. But what we did with the Sportime World Tour, to your point, was we kind of created this event that travels amongst our different sites. We have 12 tennis sites in our company. Wow. So we're able to travel around and create this big event at these sites. And it's not just focused on, who's playing who and who wins and who loses. It's, there's a player party and there's player entrance, and, they have their own little tunnel that they go in, and then there's an entrance and a parade, and it kind of, and then we incorporate the parents, and, talking to them, and there's food, and it's just fun. There's games off the court. So, I think that for those, those are big buildups, right? Like, when we're in our groups and we're working on things, we're leading up towards a big event like that. And then on the day of, it's about making them feel like, hey, this is good. And instead of having, listen, it's tough, like, especially at younger ages, if it's just about the result, there's only one person that's walking out with the result that they really wanted. The idea behind World Tour is to really introduce players to competition and try to, slowly get them to the point where, hey, you know what, like, yeah, you're eventually going to, be winning and losing and, going to all that, but we try to get everybody kind of working towards a similar goal. So I think that everybody leaves the World Tour feeling like, hey, we want to play more tennis, we want to do more. And I think that, is kind of the path that we're going to talk about with this conference, which is taking players that are playing tennis and make them tennis players, right? So right. Big difference to me when I'm looking around the Sportime clubs.
Yeah, and I think, one of the pieces that we probably all realize, at least those of us that have the passion or in the kids tennis realm, is there's a lot of facilities out there that are doing great programming. They do the lessons, but they're missing the social element. Is that what the piece that this provides for your program?
Well, yeah, I think that the World Tour is one of those events. We do, we have other events that kind of connect the dots, socially, and some of them don't even involve tennis, which is, I think, the part that is a little bit, confusing sometimes to tennis professionals, right? It's like, maybe we're doing something else, maybe we're just balancing it out. Maybe we're just getting them to have, basically expand their groups of friends and, look at tennis as something that, gives them more than just some on-court experience. Also for the parents, right? Like, I want the parents to be a little bit more relaxed when they're around competition. So, right. Unfortunately, what we see in a lot of tennis lobbies during tournaments is you could take a knife and cut the tension, right? Like it's just so thick. So, a lot of times it's like, just easing the parents into it, introducing parents to each other, and making sure that, it's not always about, hey, that's my sworn enemy that, my child's parent my child has to win this match at a young age, especially when we're talking about 8, 10, 12 years old. Obviously, if we were at, NCAA nationals, we might have a different, it is a little bit more intense.
Right.
It should, and that should be, but, to come right out of the gate at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, creating that type of environment, I think we need to be aware of what that does to the children, right? To how kids are reacting to their parents at that age. And, I just had a birthday the other day, Scott. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Okay. I still want my parents to approve of what I do. Right. So it's, it never ends. I think that, we have to we have to remember, like, this could be new for the parents too. So we have to coach the parents through some of that as well. So competition is sort of an all-encompassing thing, just like all the things we talk about in our programming, right? There's more than just one piece. There's a bunch of different pieces. And I know a lot of, we have all these amazing speakers that are going to talk about it. So I don't want to give any of that stuff away, but that's the secret sauce, I guess.
What do you see as some of the biggest challenges these days for programming? This is a world conference, so it's maybe a little bit different in different areas of the world, but at least to your experience, what do you see some of the biggest challenges in getting more kids playing our game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a whole host of new challenges that, we didn't even aren't aware of 6 months ago, right? We have this whole host of new challenges. And, so we have the normal, what we would do to keep things safe and make things, progress the way we want. And now we've got kind of thrown this new batch of challenges. So that kind of enters into it. Like, how do we keep everything straight, right? Keeping everything organized. I think ultimately a lot of this comes down to communication, right? And just making sure that we're able to communicate with our staff, right? And making sure that we're able to say, hey, these are the new ways, right? This is the new rules. This is the new things that we need to do. And we're still not trying to change too much of everything that we've been doing for so long. So it's a balancing act, but communication first to our, employees and setting a plan. Preparation's important, but then also communicating to the kids during events and during lessons and during groups, and then also to the parents leading up to it. So I think communication is going to be the one consistency that we're going to see. Obviously, we're communicating differently now, right, Scott? Normally, we would get on the phone maybe a couple times, and eventually we would end up in the same place, and we would talk to each other face to face. And I know I'm used to seeing you in New York in the end of August, early September, and talking to you there, and then usually you'll see me down in Florida at some point, during the year. So I think for us, it's there's my walkie-talkie going off, Scott. I told you that was going to happen at some point because we got camp going on right now. But, the idea is, like, the way we're communicating is now changing, and we're now able to deliver a conference like this, across the entire world without having to buy a plane ticket, which I think there's a lot of benefits to that, right? Because we're going to make this conference not only just affordable as far as the cost of the conference, but all the things that go along with that, right?
Right.
Hotel and plane tickets and all that. And I think we're able to, kind of be creative and find it. So I mean, every challenge that I think we have is doable, is workable, provided that we keep everything under control and we don't have, the scares and the outbreaks that we've talked about. But I actually think there's a ton of opportunity. I know you and I talked about this early on. Like, there's a ton of opportunity right now. I mean, I have more people asking about tennis now than I have in a really long time. Yeah. Like, tennis is that one sport that everybody seems to be like, hey, we could play tennis. Like, that's safe. Like, let's do it. And parents are going, yeah, I wanted my kid to play tennis anyway. Let's this might be the time. This is the excuse we need. So I think now we got to really be prepared. Like, we got to be prepared for a little rush here. which I'm excited about.
Which is exciting, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, because I know that walkie-talkie is probably going crazy, tell us a little bit about your presentation. Don't give any secrets away because we want people to register, but the title that I have, The Tipping Point, Getting Competition Right for Kids, tell us just a little bit about what the coaches can expect.
So I think what we're going to talk about in that is, number one, what I mentioned about the World Tour, which is we have to create an event, right? We have to think about it a little bit differently. Think about it not just from, what's going on the court, but we need to think about what happens all around it. From the time they walk in the door to the time they leave, how is that experience going? The way that, and we need to think a little bit further. We can't just think about, oh, here's a can of balls, go play. I think we need to discuss, new formats of play, right? Ways to get more players involved, what to do at early stages of competition, and how to get them involved in a positive way, rather than just, putting everybody in the same group, right? And right. Saying, these kids that are really good and have played 10 tournaments are going to play against this kid who's never played a tournament and is their legs are shaking. How the parents experience this tournament, and how that goes. Are they having the opportunity to maybe team up at different points in time, right? And not just make this all individual, right? And make tennis just this, lonesome sport that sometimes people think it is, right? Right. So there's a lot of different ways. And I think ultimately creating scheduling around your club and around your kids' schedules that gives them a little bit of variety through that, right? And not doing the same thing every time, and not just chasing ranking points or whatever it is that we've talked about for a really long time. So I think that it's just like everything it's an all-encompassing process, and just trying to make the actual experience a little bit better, from A to Z, right? And instead of just saying like, oh, we declared a winner, or, we got trophies and we did this. I think all that, there's a place for all of it. We just need to do a little bit better job as a tennis community of sitting there going, okay, well, where's the next group coming from, and where's the group behind them, and just kind of looking at it, because I don't think it's as much of a problem where we don't know how to run, high level tournaments. I think we're very good at running high level tournaments, and I think we have a lot of high level players that have experienced that. But how do we get more high level players in the mix? And that's going to be by creating better experiences leading up and not scaring people away, because you've seen the data. We've all seen the data. I mean, it gets scary, at 13 years old, 70% of kids drop off. Before that, we're still losing, and a lot of it centers around parents and rules and coaches and really, quite frankly, tournaments, right? And right. The ability to, they're scared of competition and they don't want it to be a negative experience. And I think more and more we're seeing parents who don't want to have that negative experience for their children. So we have to bring the parent piece into this as well. That's all I'm saying, Scott. I'm not going to say any more. Okay, we've got to keep this. We've got to keep this for August. Okay, you guys got to tune back in August. All right.
That's great insight. And Jason, thanks for coming and being a part of this. I know you're super busy. For those of you that are interested in the conference, remember, you can go to conference.evolve9.com. You can register there, but you can also take a look at all the different exciting things that we're going to be doing. You can take a look at the list of speakers. You can look at the presentation topics. All of that is on the website. But remember, August 14th to the 23rd, we will see you there. And Jason, again, thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Good to see you.